Hello students. Today we are going to understand why nutrition is important during adolescence. What is adolescence? It is the period of transition from childhood to adulthood with accelerated physical, biochemical and emotional development. Humans grow at different rates at different stages in their lives. Growth is very rapid in the womb and in the first 2 years of life. Puberty is another stage when growth and development is rapid. The growth spurts, which is a rapid rise in height and weight, are mostly visible in the first year of life and around puberty, where a tremendous amount of growth takes place within a short period of time. But growth spurts can occur at other times too, though they are less obvious. The final growth spurt occurs during adolescence period. There is a great amount of variation in the rate of changes that may occur. Some teenagers may experience these signs of maturity sooner or later than others. Adolescence is a period of rapid growth, which is up to 45% of skeletal growth, which takes place, and 15 to 25% of adult height is achieved during adolescence. During the growth spurt of adolescence, up to 37% of the total bone mass may be accumulated. Nutrition influences growth and development throughout infancy, childhood and adolescence. It is, however, during the period of adolescence that nutrient needs are the greatest. Hence, good nutrition is critical during the teenage years to ensure there is healthy growth and development. A healthy diet must meet the changing nutritional needs of the growing teenager. During this time, physical changes affect the body's nutritional needs. Adolescence is commonly regarded as a relatively healthy period of life cycle. Indeed, adolescents are possibly less vulnerable to infection than they were at any younger age. There is also sexual and other physical maturation that occurs during puberty, which is a result of hormonal changes. In boys, it is difficult to know exactly when puberty is coming. There are changes that occur, but they occur gradually and over a period of time rather than a single event. The increased need for energy and nutrients during adolescence, combined with increased financial independence, increasing need for autonomy when making food choices, and immature cognitive abilities places the adolescents at a nutritional risk. There are changes in lifestyle which may affect the eating habits and the food choices. Nutrition and health during adolescence is very important for supporting the growing body and also preventing future health problems. The dietary decisions made by an adolescent may have lasting health effects. For example, in most adolescents, they do not include enough calcium in their diets. Such deficiency increases their chance of developing osteoporosis when they become adults. The growth spurt of boys is slower than that of girls. There are many body changes due to the influence of the hormones. The most noticeable changes are increase in height, weight, and development of secondary sexual characteristics. Girls usually attain menarche during this growth spurt. They attain their adult stature between the age group of 18 and 20. Moreover, approximately half of the adult bone mass is obtained during adolescence, with boys experiencing greater gains in bone size and bone mass compared to the girls, but bone mass continues to increase up to the age of 25. Because adolescence is a time of tremendous biological, psychosocial and cognitive growth and development, nutrition interventions need to be tailored to the developmental level of each and every individual. Indeed, it is an opportunity to catch up growth in adolescence through nutritional intervention. It is likely quite narrow, but it may extend beyond the adolescent growth spurt. Good nutrition is needed not only to support the growth but also the developmental changes of the adolescents. Undernutrition in general has been shown to delay the adolescent's growth spurt. On the other hand, overnutrition leads to conditions like overweight and obesity. Adolescence is also challenging for nutrition. Even though nutritional vulnerability may not be as great as in infancy and childhood, adolescents are exposed to undernutrition, micronutrient malnutrition, as well as obesity. Their lifestyle and eating behaviors, along with underlying psychosocial factors, are particularly important threats to adequate nutrition. Now let us see what are the nutritional requirements during adolescence. The energy requirement is based on the weight of the girls and boys. The protein requirement ranges from 63 to 78 grams per day. The fat requirement is 22 grams per day. Calcium for both boys and girls is around 600 mg per day. Iron requirement again varies from 28 grams to 50 grams per day. Vitamin A and beta carotene is 600 and 2400 μg. We also have the requirement for folic acid, which is around 100 μg per day. Now let us see what are these nutritional requirements and why there is a demand of all these nutrients. The energy needs increase with metabolic demands of the growth and energy expenditure. Girls consume fewer kilocalories than the boys. Increase in appetite leads to satisfying their hunger with snack foods that are rich or high in sugar, fat, and low in proteins. The difference in calorie intake of both the boys and girls starts from the age of 10, and boys take higher calories than the girls. Coming to the protein requirement, the protein needs represent almost 12 to 14% of the energy intake. The intake exceeds 1 gram per kg body weight for the pubertal changes in both the sexes and for the developing muscle mass, especially in boys. The protein requirements for both boys and girls are the same up to the age of 10 years, but after that there is a gradual difference in their requirements from the age of 10 years, where boys have a higher requirement when compared to the girls. Between 10 to 12 years, the requirement of protein for girls is higher compared to boys. Later on, boys require more protein requirements than girls of the same age. Now let us see what is the requirement of minerals. First, let us take up calcium, which is the most important or the macro mineral. Adolescents need more calcium than adults. The reason being to meet their skeletal growth. About 150 mg of calcium must be retained each day to allow for the increase in bone mass. We have once in a lifetime opportunity to build strong bones. Approximately 30% of all the minerals deposited in our bones throughout life occurs during adolescence, and 90% of our adult skeleton is formed by the age of 18 and even earlier, especially in girls. Therefore, it is very essential that enough calcium is received to allow this to happen. The next most important nutrient is iron. We all know that iron is important for growth, for the brain development and immune system. Iron is needed for hemoglobin synthesis, for increased blood volume, and for also myoglobin, which is needed for especially for muscle growth. Girls need to ensure adequate intake of iron as they lose almost 0.5 mg of iron every day, especially during the period of menstruation. During adolescence, there is an increase in body mass, which is corresponding to about 4.3 kgs per year in female. With a further increase in hemoglobin, which is around 2 grams per 100 ml in boys and 1 gram per 100 ml in girls, the respective requirement for growth alone is around 0.7 mg per day and 0.45 mg per day in girls, while the obligatory losses also increase with age. Now coming to the trace minerals, zinc, which is essential for adequate growth and sexual development. Zinc deficiency is not normally seen in adolescents. Zinc supplements have been shown to increase the pubertal growth in adolescents suffering from pubertal delay. Now let us take up the vitamins. Vitamin B, which is thiamine, riboflavin and niacin, increase as per the requirement of calories. Folic acid and vitamin B12 are essential for DNA and RNA synthesis. Vitamin B6 is essential for transamination to synthesize the non-essential amino acids. The requirement for B6 is increased. Premenstrual tension can be reduced if adolescent girls consume at least 100 mg of vitamin B6 per day. Vitamin D is essential for skeletal growth. Vitamin A, C and E, these are required for the structural and functional integrity of the newly formed cells, which depends on the availability of these vitamins. There are many nutritional problems which are seen during adolescence, like anemia, obesity, eating disorders, predisposition of osteoporosis, undernutrition and premenstrual syndrome. Let us see what are these problems and how it can be treated. The first one is obesity. We all know that people who eat out more number of times are susceptible for obesity. Children are exposed to high calorie, high fat foods which are delicious and are readily available because of the advertisements. Skipping meals at home and consuming junk foods that are readily available outside home are very salty and also contain high content of sugar and fat. The family habits, emotional stress and hormonal imbalances also can lead to obesity. There are two types of eating disorders which are associated during adolescence. One is anorexia nervosa, which is forced starving to remain thin or lean. The next one is bulimia nervosa, which is overeating. We also have binge eating, that is eating anytime, anywhere, wherever or whenever food is available. The next problem is predisposition to osteoporosis. Excessive exercise, high fiber, low fat intake leads to changes in circulating estrogen levels, irregular menstruation and low bone mass. Predisposition to osteoporosis is in part the result of all these dietary deficiencies and exercise pattern during the developmental years. The most commonly seen problems in teenage girls is anemia, which in particular are affected by poor iron status due to increased iron losses during menstruation that are not replaced through the diet. If iron levels become too low, it can lead to a condition called iron deficiency anemia. Anemia is known to compromise all work performance, both physical and mental. But recent studies have suggested that even low iron stores without anemia can negatively affect the brain function. Anemia 3 times more common in vegetarians compared to meat eaters. It is most common in poor class since the intake is poor mainly due to non-availability of healthy foods, the various food taboos associated with food, personal likes and dislikes. The next problem is undernutrition. The weight deficit is a major factor possibly related to the personal likes and dislikes and also a conscious attempt towards maintaining a low weight in the fear of becoming overweight. The following factors contribute to undernutrition in adolescence. That may be skipping of meals, eating outside, avoiding healthy foods, consciousness about weight gain, food faddism, emotional disturbances, and early marriages. We also have premenstrual syndrome, which is observed 7 to 10 days prior to the onset of the menstruation. These include weight gain, abdominal bloating, constipation, peripheral edema, headache, irritability, anxiety, depression, tension, lack of concentration, increased appetite, and craving for sweets and salty foods. Physical and psychosocial pressures influence adolescents' eating habits. Boys fare better than girls in that their large appetite and sheer volume of food leads them to consume adequate nutrients than the adolescent girls. They gain weight easily as their physiological sex differences associated are with fat deposits during this period and comparatively lack of physical activity. The social pressures and personal tensions concerning figure control will force them to follow unwise, self-imposed crash diets for weight loss. Self-starvation may result in complex and far-reaching eating disorders like anorexia nervosa and bulimia. In younger children, family members play a very important role in establishing food habits. With increasing age, adolescents' personal choices and preferences gain priority over eating habits acquired in the family. Teenagers have the reputation of having the worst eating habits. They may skip a meal or they may eat fast foods which are generally inadequate in many of the nutrients like calcium, vitamin A, but at the same time they are high in calories, saturated fat and sodium. Skipping meals, particularly breakfast, also becomes increasingly common as children get older. Studies have shown that as many as 1 in 5 teenage girls miss breakfast with the consequences of poor nutritional intake and cognition. In adolescent age, it may be more difficult to modify well-established patterns. Many habits acquired during adolescence will last for a lifetime. Furthermore, adolescents not only adopt peculiar eating patterns and lifestyles for themselves, but they also influence their peers, family, and other community members. As appetite is also likely to increase, it is therefore important that food choices are made carefully. It can be tempting at this time to increase the intake of snack foods and fast foods that are high in fat, sugar, and salt. Changes in lifestyle, including food habits, are often more obvious among adolescents as they are typically the early adopters, owing among other things to their attraction for novelty and high exposure to commercial marketing in cities. Indeed, looking into adolescents' living and eating patterns may give an idea of changes taking place in the society. It is therefore an appropriate time for health and nutrition promotion activities. Healthy eating for teenagers should again be based upon the principles of healthy balanced diet with 3 good meals, that is breakfast, lunch and dinner, consumed each day in the order to meet the high nutrient demands of growing up. The diet in adolescence is very important because it influences the future nutritional status. So some of the dietary guidelines are that they should include at least all the basic 5 food groups, that is the cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables, milk and meat products, and fats, oils and sugar. Adequate and well-balanced nutritious food should be provided in order to prevent conditions like malnutrition as well as obesity. Enough calcium is required to increase the bone density and to delay the onset of osteoporosis, which is especially seen in elderly women. Include iron-rich foods in order to prevent conditions like iron deficiency anemia. Include a lot of fruits, green leafy vegetables and other vegetables to meet the requirements of vitamins and minerals which are needed by the body. Always provide variety in the diet, especially in color, texture, taste and flavor. Apart from the diet, a regular physical activity is essential to regulate the appetite. Always home-based foods are good and do not get addicted to always to eat outside. Avoid empty calorie foods such as carbonated beverages. No single meal of the day should be missed out. So these were some of the guidelines which an adolescent can follow in order to stay happy and healthy. So in conclusion, adolescence is a critical period in the lifespan and provides opportunities to positively influence future health behaviors and health outcomes. The phenomenal growth that occurs in adolescence seconds to that in the first year of life, which creates increased demands, especially for energy and the other nutrients. There will be accelerated physical, biochemical and emotional development. The total nutrient needs are higher during adolescence than any other time in the life cycle. Nutrition and physical growth are integrally related. Optimal nutrition is a requisite for achieving full growth potential. Failure to consume an adequate diet at this time can result in delayed sexual maturation and can arrest or slow down the linear growth. There are many physical and mental changes which results due to influence of hormones. It is during this period that the final growth spurt occurs with increase in the height and weight. The growth spurt of boys is slower than the girls, and the growth spurt signals the onset of critical body composition of 10% body fat. Growth velocity is also maximum for the boys, especially in the age group of 12 to 15 years, and for girls it is between 10 to 13 years. Therefore, nutrition is also important during this time, which will help them to prevent various adult diet-related chronic diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, cancer and osteoporosis. Prior to puberty, nutrient needs are similar for boys and girls. It is during puberty that body composition and biological changes emerge which affect the gender-specific nutrient needs. The nutrient needs for both males and females increase sharply during adolescence, and these needs parallel the rate of growth, with the greatest nutrient demands occurring during the peak velocity of growth. At the peak of the adolescent growth spurt, the nutritional requirements may be twice as high as those remaining of period of adolescence. Special care especially should be taken in intake of calcium and iron, especially in girls as well as boys. And also the main idea should rotate to give an appropriate and balanced diet so that they can prevent the various chronic disorders. Hence, special care should be taken in the diet of an adolescent pertaining to the energy, that is the calories, iron and calcium intake, and maintain a weight according to the height of that individual. Thank you.